and gentlemen, boys and girls, I had the fine pleasure of being with many people that I didn't want to necessarily be involved in their organization or club by natural pursuit. You all know that my daughter Shanice Milton was killed back in 2015, and it's been 5.5 years. Her case goes unsolved. But yesterday we had Ms. Jeffries on, and we were talking about the fact that the D.C. City Council and the mayor want to release 500 murderers and rapists because they happen to be under the age of 25 back onto the streets, even though statistically it shows that in the first 6 to 12 months that 56% of them, in fact 56.8, would commit the crime all over again that they were processed and prosecuted for. And in fact, by the end of 5 years, over 76.8% of those individuals would commit another crime, which would require them to go back into the criminal justice system. When I was out there this afternoon with Henderson Long of Upward Bound, and thank God for him doing a marvelous job organizing everybody and getting them out, including the press that doesn't want to cover stories like this. It was disheartening to hear the stories of so many who had their children taken from them in the twinkling of an eye, and that this city has done virtually nothing to guard the people from the incivility of violence and from the pernicious desire to take away guns from the American people. I had an opportunity to speak, and I'm going to play that part for you. And I hope that you would do me the grandest favor of sharing it with the world. Next Tuesday, they will bring up for a vote whether they will be releasing 500 murderers and rapists into the community. And you know the community they're going to. They're not going to Adams Morgan, and they certainly are not going up on Connecticut Avenue. No, they're going to be going back into Ward 7 and 8, the poorest, most deadly neighborhoods in the city. I broadcast from there every single night. So I know for a fact that many of you watch this television program and you've heard gunshots from my studio. It's not happening inside my house. It's happening right outside. If they really cared about you, and I'm talking to the Democrat Marxists, if you vote for the same people over and over again and you get the same result, but you get the worst results because when they murder, they can't murder the same person over and over again. They murder your child and then the next child and then the next child. The cartels, the gangs, the criminals who are able to get a firearm, get arrested, the firearm taken away from them. They go back into the street 24 hours because the court says we can't keep them. Too many people in the prisons. Or there are too many black people in the prisons. Or too many Hispanics in the prison. We want to be politically correct. We want to make up for slavery. So we're about to release 500 of the most hardcore young people, unredeemed, unrepentant, not rehabilitated, to the streets. I, among a lot of people, had something to say about that, and I'll be playing the other parts of it on tomorrow, but I wanted you to hear my part today.
Remember the time when they got Harry Thomas Jr. and they just ignored us. But all lives matters, all black lives matters, and all DC lives matters, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Black lives matter. Black lives.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ken McClinton. I am honored to be father of Shanice Milton. I don't have a spirit of fear, but I have a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. Shanice Milton was killed coming home from covering a story on Capitol Hill, same area where Charles Allen resides. Recovering home from that, she was crossing the street at Good Hope and Alabama Avenue. And she was shot straight in the chest and killed after being held by a gang member who used her as a human shield. 5.5 years have passed, and my wife walks the floor at night waiting for her daughter to come home. 5.5 years have passed, and the murderer still has not been found. 5.5 years have passed. There have been no arrests, although there were 16 culprits involved. 5.5 years have gone past, and still the greatest failure of public policy and public safety in the District of Columbia remains Mayor Muriel Bowser and the DC City Council. They have caused our police to lose the respect of their constituency. They have utterly made us depend upon ourselves to defend ourselves. However, in Title I of this omnibus bill, they have actually put in red flag laws so that legal individuals who own guns are persecuted and prosecuted. And if you go down to Title 12, there is a clause called compassionate judiciary service. And in that compassion, they forget my daughter. In that compassion, they forget their daughters and their sons and their brothers and their cousins. In their compassion, they forget that the law has already spoken. And now they have decided to supersede the law to allow themselves to make judgment, not of the guilty, but of the innocent. This year, over 190 families have experienced the loss of life. 190. I say that again. Our closure rate for homicide has dropped from 95% in 2011 to less than 70% today. These families don't sleep. We don't sleep at night because there's no closure. The same people who do the crime redo the crime. The FBI reports that in the first 6 months of individuals being released from the prison, 56.8% of them will repeat as offenders. And I want to ask you, Mr. and Mrs. DC, can you afford to lose your daughter? Can you afford to lose your son? Can you afford to lose this city to hopeless crime and recidivism? Because some people believe that their ideology is more important than your child's life. Some people believe that it's more important to show a front to the rest of the world while they show their behinds to us. Ladies and gentlemen, in 5 years, the FBI reports that 78% of those people who are released from prison for violent offenses repeat themselves in doing it. That means, Mr. West Virginia, Mr. Virginia, Mr. Maryland, one of these someday shall be in your neighborhood, and they shall carry out the same offense against you as they did against me and my family. Charles Allen is not a wicked man. At least I hope he isn't. Because a wicked man would find the error of his ways and turn from them. But you have 13 members of the city council who don't see us at all. And you wonder why people don't show up to these particular events? Because they've already been told by this city, by this mayor, by the city council chairperson that you don't matter. Your life doesn't matter. Your family doesn't matter. Your hopes and dreams and aspirations for your child's future don't matter. All that matters is that I look good on television and that I get your vote and then I release 500 murderers and rapists upon the streets of DC and wish you well in your well-doing. You see, Charles Allen doesn't live in the neighborhood these brothers and sisters are going to come back to. See, Charles Allen can walk down the street on 7th Street and have his bagel and have his coffee or his frappuccino, however way he wishes it. But in our 7-Eleven neighborhoods of Ward 7 and Ward 8, people are dying on the streets every single day. People are dying. And I don't hear the mayor knocking on anyone's door. I don't hear the city council fighting for us. So ladies and gentlemen, for those who are sitting at home tonight, and you understand that you lost someone that you love and you are disappointed, you've given up because they forced you to give up. They don't call you anymore. The cameras don't go to your house anymore. Nobody asks you any more questions. Your baby is just another dead body in the cause of their injustice. I want to tell you tonight, get courage. Be faithful, be strong. Because your baby was worth it when that baby was alive. Your baby is worth it now that they're dead. Your baby needs you right now. You need to pick up the phone and you need to call 727-1000. You need to call the mayor's office. You need to call the city council's office. You need to make certain that you send an email. You send a text. All that matters is that you did one thing. If you did one thing for your child, you have done one thing for this city. And this city does not deserve to be punished by 500 murderers and rapists coming back into the community, unrehabilitated, unredeemed, and without hope or aspiration for the future.
That's right. That's right.
All I can say to you is, I'm very disappointed with the city council.
Yes.
9 Democrats voted to release 500 felons on the street. And this is supposed to be the party that cares. I think they care very little for you and your community. And Vincent Gray and Trayon White, you are an embarrassment to east of the river. You know every single day that your neighborhood is the biggest neighborhood for the crimes, for the punishment, for the murders. And yet, you wish to release individuals who have done the crimes and back into the community to do what? Start a business? Get a new job? No, to redo the same offense. Often you hear the police chief talk about these people quibble amongst themselves and they fight amongst themselves and they start the same crime over and over again. It doesn't help releasing people who are unredeemed, who are unrehabilitated, back into these neighborhoods. These women do not deserve to be raped because Charles Allen wants to be politically correct. Your children don't deserve to die because Charles Allen wants your vote. I don't want to see you at a funeral. I don't want to see you having to bury your child at the cemetery. I want to see you watch your child graduate from college. I want to see your child get married and have children and have a good life. But Charles Allen, Kenya McDuffie, Trayon White, Vincent Gray, Mary Chang, and all the rest of them have only one intent: that you never see your child get to where they need to be. We care. We love you. Work day and night to make certain that this omnibus bill perishes on the floor. Pick up the phone. Believe it or not, your voice can make a difference. God bless you all, and good night.
Thank you.
Not bad for a short guy, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, people always ask me at this particular hour of the night, you're on the road, Ken. I'm emotionally tied into you now. I'm feeling euphoria. I'm ready to go to battle now. I feel the revolution coming on, and I'm ready to put my blue coat on, and I'm ready to get my boots on, and I'm ready to strap up. I'm ready to go, man. What do we got to do now? You got to ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1, do you know where your children are? Number 2, do your children know where you are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?